And I think that's important as a leader, right? I mean, you guys are business owners, you're leaders in the industry, or leaders in the community. It's like, how do we want to create other leaders in the community? Because ultimately, sorry to let you guys know this, we're just renting, guys. This is all renting. We're just going to give it back. So how do I leave
Even the guy with the island, right? You're renting that. It's not yours.
It's not yours. I don't care how much stuff you buy, how much you think you
jet.
own. You're just renting it. You're just here for a period of time, and eventually it's going to go back to someone. My whole thing is like, who can I leave this to? And how many people can I leave with this kind of idea? How do I help the next generation?
Welcome back to the Attorneys on Accident podcast with your host, Joe Worth and Ash Blackburn. We are here with our friend, Johnny Carmona. Johnny, thank you for coming down.
Thanks for having me.
We're going to jump right into, mysticism and manifesting, all that good stuff, because you did a kind of a spooky trick where we were talking off camera. We started talking about how when Ash got her electric Porsche and it came off the back of the truck, how excited you were, and how you kind of have to go through it and you have your success, and then you realize, like, you know what, my other car is a little bit more practical, easier to get the kid in and out of. But it was that, but what's that quote you sent me? You sent me that quote from Modern Wisdom, Chris Williamson, who talked about, going on the journey is not the same as never leaving, right? The house. Like, so you have to do it, but people get upset sometimes when you get there, you get the thing that you think is going to make you happy or make you feel a certain way, and then you're kind of quick to discard it. And you kind of have to be sensitive because, right, depending on where you are in life, if I'd heard like a Porsche wasn't going to make me happy or a second home or something, I'd be like, well, no, like I want to test that theory, right?
Yeah, you have to get it to.
You got to test it, right? And that was the whole point. Is like, we've all got to leave the cave. We got to go slay the dragons, right, Johnny? So, anyways, Johnny brings this book. What book did you bring here?
Oh, it's one of my go-to books now. The Creative Act: A Way of Being by Rick Rubin.
And just, if anyone's not familiar with who Rick Rubin is, give us a summary.
I mean, Rick Rubin is probably best known for making music. Like, he's worked with Run DMC. He's a producer. He's worked with some of the greatest artists in the world, Jay-Z. And if you don't know who Rick Rubin is, you may have been on a rock the last 50 years.
Yeah.
But Rick Rubin is now also, he lives up in Shangri-La, if I'm not mistaken. And he goes very introspective into his world and understanding himself. And this book was, I went on a journey to Dubai in October, and I needed a book for the travel, and I grabbed this one. And I was just telling Joe, this is the first book that I've read completely, but never read from beginning to end, which is super interesting to me because I love to read a book from beginning to end and get into it. This book gives you certain things that you can just kind of grab and pop open at any one point in time. And it gives great insight or great advice to what's going on for you in that moment. And so for me, I like to practice a few things before I get into something like this. I like to meditate, day of, but also I meditate pretty consistently throughout the day. But my main go-to meditation is I'll sit in my car for a minute before I get out, and I'll just repeat the words release, to release any kind of energy out there that may not be serving to me at the moment. And then I like to read a little passage. I ask God for the guidance and the wisdom to bring that into the room with me today. And so what I did, and if it's okay, I'll share it with you.
Please.
I just opened it up and brought me to the page number 19, awareness. And leading into that page, it basically said, it kind of speaks to what we talked about. It says, turning something from an idea into a reality can make it seem smaller. It changes from uncertainty to earthly. The imagination has no limits. The physical world does. The work exists in both. And so what that speaks to me is that very similar to what you're saying is, hey, we may want these things. We may not know we want them. We may not even know we really need them. But when we get them, that might not be what you really wanted.
Yep.
Right? So it's more the journey, as they say now, instead of the destination. And for me, that's what it's been I'll be approaching 50 next year. These last 50 years, it's been a journey of inside to really find out who I am and who I can really be, who I thrive to be, right? And that today is, I thrive to be just a good human being that leaves everybody with a smile. And that's my ultimate goal.
All right. Well, you got us smiling already. Let's go back a little bit, though, and introduce you properly. So you coach businesses. You coach entrepreneurs, right?
Yeah.
You've coached basketball. You've
I
got a
do.
son that plays collegiate basketball in California, correct?
Correct.
You've got a daughter, so you're a father, you're a husband, you're a serial entrepreneur. You've got an insurance company that you've had for what, 13 years?
Correct.
And we'll talk about some of your other businesses. But the reason we wanted you to come on the show, and I know you and Ash are going to hit it off, is you're not afraid to go deep, right? You're not afraid to look inward and continue to wrestle with who am I and how can I be the best version of myself. I met you just at the gym, right, through a mutual friend, and grabbed lunch with you, and it was one of those lunches where could have gone all afternoon, and I thought, man, this is somebody where you energized me. I came out of that lunch, and it's a lunch where you talk about it when you go home and talk to the wife and kids when they say, how was your day? It's like, I had a really amazing lunch with an amazing individual who kind of inspired me, right? Like, you gave me a little bit of a jolt. Yeah, I mean that. And I've even, in passing you in the gym, one time I asked you for some marital advice, right? I just say, hey, can you give me something? And you said something like, massage your feet, expect nothing.
Yeah.
And you just,
Simple rule.
thing.
Simple
But
stuff.
Johnny's not afraid to drop wisdom, and I think you have a lot to share. So we're excited to get into it.
Thank you.
I wanted to ask you, just right out of the gate, let's get into it. When you look back, you said you're coming up on 50?
March 10th.
No way.
March
Thank you.
10th. When you look back, I want to know when you came to appreciate this idea. And this is on your website. So we pulled this from your website, and it's one of the first things that you talk about in your bio. So it's got to mean something to you. But when you say that you believe that nothing exists in isolation and that every person is both our student and our teacher, I'm curious, like, what age did you come to realize that and sort of adopt that as Johnny's philosophy, or one of Johnny's philosophies?
That's a great question. Good research. What age? I don't think it was a particular age that I really came upon it. I think it kind of evolved over time. In life, I've had a lot of great teachers that I didn't know were teachers giving me those lessons. And I've had a lot of bad teachers, to be honest with you,
Still
that have
giving
given
you
me some
lessons,
great
yeah.
life lessons. One of them, and I can, it's my 8th grade science teacher. I won't name his name, but he was my 8th grade science teacher, and he told me I'd never amount to anything. And I took that to heart, and I made sure that I was something, right? And that something at the time was, being successful. And what is success? You don't know. Success can be a variety of different things. But at that time, for me, it was being a successful basketball player. And I took that to heart, and I was like, you know what? I'm going to prove this guy wrong. And that's what I did. I went about, and I went to work, and I proved him wrong. But what I really did was prove myself right.
Yeah.
And that was the bigger reward. It wasn't necessarily about saying, hey, look what I did to this person. It was more like, wow, John, look what you can do.
So, like, as a stranger, he didn't know you. He wasn't inside your head, right? So it was never about him. And you've got to realize that when you get older.
Right.
You think it's personal.
You always think it's personal, right? Until you read the 4 agreements and you don't take it personal. And I think that's when things really started to change. My wife and I have been committed to self-growth from the very start,
Oh, that's so good.
and that was, I think, probably the best deal that I could have ever made with my wife, is that we were going to grow together no matter what, that through the times things were going to come up, but we were going to look each other in the eye and say, hey, this is hard, but I choose hard with you. Let's do it together. Let's grow. Let's push each other to be the best versions of ourselves.
How do you do that practically? Like, what are the things that you do in your marriage to make sure that continues?
It's a great question. I would say communicate on the stuff that, you really don't want to communicate about, or that really might be provoking something inside. That's when you really need to lean into it and say, hey, this is where I'm at right now, and trust that the other person is going to accept that and give you the grace to have that kind of feeling, and then in return, challenge you to be the best version. And so I'll be celebrating, wow, it's crazy. I'll be celebrating 24 years married this year.
Congratulations.
Big milestone. We've been together now 27 years going on. So it's the single best decision I've ever made in my life, to have a partner that we can grow together. And it's been ultra successful.
That's awesome. Do you have those conversations early on about, when we get into a fight, this is how we're going to deal with it? I feel like there's more and more information coming out about treating a marriage like a business, right? And so that there's more structure to it, more expectation, or do you find that you and your wife had similarities in that way and were able to navigate it organically?
Yeah, I believe we navigated organically. We discussed some things up front, no doubt about it. We were committed to.
Mm-hmm.
But it was never, hey, if we fight, we're going to do this, or hey, it started off was like, hey, let's not go to bed angry with each other, right? Let's not fall asleep angry. And I think that was a real strong pillar in our relationship.
Some late nights.
Late nights. Sometimes that's what it takes,
Do you
right?
live by that?
We tried for a while, but then we just weren't sleeping.
Sure. Fair enough.
Yeah. And then it goes organically,
too. Yeah.
right? So over time, you see each other grow, and you, at least for me, I can't say you, I would reflect and say, wow, what did I do, or what did I say to make that person feel that way, right? And then it's not always about them. It's about me being accountable for those actions or behaviors, right? And then owning those things.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's what makes it for a solid relationship long term. And then, opposed to, I can't remember what therapist it was, but I remember hearing her, she said, a relationship has several commitments over time. It's kind of like a lease. You're going to have like a 20-year lease, and then that person's going to be different in 20 years, and then do you want to renew that lease, right? And so do you want to continue to renew that lease over and over? And my wife and I have committed to that. We've renewed the second lease, right? Our kids now are 19 and 20. We're in our second lease, our second 20-year lease here. And I don't want to change this lease. I'm good. I'm good where we're at. I don't want to turn it in for a better model. I like my payment where it's at. I like my car where it's at. I'm happy, very happy. So I don't want to renegotiating any terms. Let's put it that way.
That's a good way to think about it.
Yeah, that is good. And you mentioned the Four Agreements. That is a fairly popular book that I think more people have heard than not, hopefully. But that's Don Miguel something, right?
Don Miguel Ruiz, yeah.
Ruiz. And I picked up recently The Mastery of Love by the same author, and immediately was like, okay, this is like scripture. I need this. And really the thing that stood out to me in that book that I double underline was this idea that so often, not just in relationships, but like as we interact with the world, we're really trying to inflict our worldview and our values on it, right? We just had somebody come on the podcast who is a cosmetic dentist, and he's now become the guy who does more vampire teeth than anyone in the country, and he does only fangs. So if you go to Instagram and look up only fangs,
Three S's, yeah.
Right. And so it's just, you just never know what the world's going to give you. But back to the mastery of love, what he's trying to help people understand is the second you get married and exchange your ring and say, hey, you're going to make me happy and I'm going to make you happy, right? And you give that other person your power, that's where things start to go downhill, because inevitably you're going to disappoint them, right? They're never going to know you and be in your mind the way that you are. And so, I don't know, it's led to some good conversations with my wife, though, in just terms of like, we really don't get to even tell somebody like, hey, I want you to be this way. You can certainly have those conversations and talk about how it affects you. But at the end of the day, the respect, you've got to respect your partner. Do you feel like that's something that in your relationship?
That is the single most important thing. You have to respect your partner. I love that you brought this up, because we had committed, my wife and I, her name's Carol with an E, just in case everybody asks. We had committed to this early on, and we still say this to this day, but I am ferociously committed to my wife's happiness, and she's ferociously committed to mine. And the reason that is because if I can go ahead and commit to making her happiness, I don't have to worry about mine, right? And when I'm of service to someone else, guess what? I have the ultimate feeling of happiness. Everything I need, right? And so I try to practice that as much as possible. There are times where, things are challenging, and you have kids that get in the way, or kids that bring certain things up, provoke certain kind of feelings, and you're like, wow, am I really committed to this person's happiness? Right? And you got to check yourself. And listen, I'm not perfect, right? There's times where I've said things that hurt, but I'm also accountable. I'm also able to go up to her and say, hey, look, I messed that one up.
Yeah.
I want to fix it. So,
Yeah.
and it's the respect. The respect is where it all begins. She respects me, I respect her, and that mutual respect is what is the foundation of our relationship.
It's just one of those things I wish that I had known coming into it. Like you really don't get to tell them how to act, live, behave, think. Like they're on their own journey spiritually, physically, and just kind of love them and lead by example. And I like that ferociously. I mean, I was talking to my life coach, our life coach, Christina, yesterday, and she started talking about divorce rates, and in Santa Monica it's like shot up to like 70 or 80% recently.
Wow.
Like it's just so bad. So it's like California, it's just not getting a break anywhere, not even with relationships. But I think if people read books like that, had more awareness, it certainly is going to help, because that's not necessarily the message you get when you grow up, right? It's like, no, you're going to find this person and then everything's going to be amazing.
Yeah.
And they're going to complete you, the Jerry Maguire, right? You complete me.
Yeah, I never thought that way.
Yeah.
I really never thought that way. My, I come from a small family. My mom and dad were together, and then they weren't, and they were together again, right? And then they weren't. And I just knew that's not what I wanted.
Oh, really?
And that's what it was for me. And I was like, well, that's not what I want as a family man. And I knew I wanted to have kids, and I knew I wanted to be in a relationship that was going to be long lasting and stable, and something that I could do, someone I could be with long term, and that I would be able to challenge myself and challenge that person to grow to be our best version of ourselves. And to me, I wasn't necessarily putting my happiness in her hands, but I was letting her take the reins and saying, hey, I trust you enough and I believe in you enough to have my heart. Just don't break it. And in return, I'll do the same with yours. And
Did you have that kind of clarity when you went into the relationship? I, too, had less than ideal examples of what marriage was. And I feel like it took me a really long time to figure out, no, I don't want that. But now I am in patterns of dating that feel like what I know. And it took me a really long time to break the pattern, knowing that that's not what I wanted, but being stuck in cycles. Do you feel like that's where you were at, or did you kind of come into it with clarity?
That's an interesting question. It's been some time, right? I was 22 when I met my wife. And for me to say I had a lot of clarity at 22, I'd be lying to you, right?
Don't say.
There was no clarity, really. I was really just going off, and what I still go off today is my intuition. I was really going off my intuition and really trusting that this was the right thing. It just felt right.
Good.
And so when it felt right for me, I was able to take it to the next step and then take it again and go again. And each moment that we went down the path, the boxes just continued to check. And, there's my cousin's husband says this. He says, if there's ever a doubt, there's no doubt. So basically, if you don't think that's going to work, then it's no doubt it's going to work. It's not going to work, right? So I never had a doubt that it wasn't going to work. And still to this day, I still don't have any doubts that it's not going to work. And so for me, there's no doubt that I need to be with this woman. And that's the perfect partner for me.
Jeez, I want to marry Johnny. That's
know,
romantic.
right? I'd say you did have more clarity than I had at 22.
Carol's a lucky woman. All right. Well, you coach in multiple arenas. You've coached sports, business, as we talked about, individuals. So what is Johnny's through line through like all of that coaching? What's your through line, or what's your coaching philosophy?
Well, that's a tough one. It really depends on who I'm speaking with at that moment. I'm a big believer of anything is possible. Anything is possible. Like, I'm just a kid from the Bronx in a 1-bedroom apartment with my mom, my dad, my sister, and my grandmother. Like, I shouldn't be sitting next to you or across the room from you. Like, honestly, I've just believed that the possibilities out there were true for me, and that I can go ahead and conquer them. So my whole thing is, like, when I'm working with somebody, is I really want to see where they're at, and maybe where their limiting beliefs may be, and to let them know, like, hey,
okay, so
that's not where we're going.
You said limiting beliefs, which was exactly where I wanted this to go. Let me ask it this way. Someone spends a year with Johnny, and you're mentoring them. They're in a place where they're ready to learn and listen. You spend a year with them. What are you hoping they walk away with at the end of that year in terms of reshaping their core beliefs and instilling in them? Like, what are the habits, the core beliefs that you would hope to instill in anybody that's learning from Johnny Carmona?
Probably the single most important thing is awareness. Awareness of their behaviors, their actions, their words.
Absolutely.
Primarily.
Consciousness.
Consciousness is the first thing that I think
That's where you have to start, right?
I really benefited from. Was like, hey, that didn't work. What am I doing? I reflected in the evening about, hey, where can I get better? If and I don't work with anybody unless they're willing to do that, right? And so it's like, I can only ask you so many questions. I don't have a magic wand. I'm not going to pull a rabbit out of my hat and your life is going to be completely changed. That's not it. Where the work and the magic comes from is internally in you. My job is just really to ask the proper questions to provoke the thought and the process within you to get the answer, right? And then from there, we can work on the skills necessary. Because everybody has a variety of different skills, right? And now it's a matter of me to really sit back and find out what those are, how you could utilize them. You might be really good at communicating. So let's figure out a way for you to communicate verbally with somebody. You might be a very introspective thinker and a great strategist. Let's figure out a way to maximize your skills and strategy. Well, you might be one person that really likes to isolate and really work alone and get things done. Well, great. Let's figure out how you can do that and then implement that in a team atmosphere that works for you. So it's really finding out what your limiting beliefs are. It's like, hey, I might be just a recluse that handles it this way. I don't like dealing with people. Great. That's what benefits you.
You don't work against that. You work with it.
I work with it. Let's figure out a way to work with it with your skills. There's not necessarily, I don't believe that the skill necessarily is bad. Let's figure out how to utilize it. And then once we utilize that skill, let's start to develop new skills. Let's refine that one. And then, hey, look what's possible here. Look what you did here that you didn't even know that you did by doing this, right? And so I uncovered the blind spots for people as well. And sometimes it's just a matter of answering or asking one little question that provokes that blind spot to come into fruition. You go, oh, I didn't look at it that way. And what's that? It's awareness. And then you get an opportunity to change your perspective on it.
Yeah. I've recommended so many people to my life coach because the way that she's changed my life, the way that she's changed Joe's life is incredible. I think the work that you do as a life coach and everything that you're saying absolutely is something that all people should have. Like, you have a coach at the gym, you should have a coach in life. And I totally agree with you. Once you become aware, it's almost annoying because then you can't stop being aware of all of the things that you need to fix and change.
Red pill, blue pill, right?
Right.
Exactly.
Yeah. Sometimes I just want to be a celebrity in LA and eat the fake steak, the Matrix steak, you know?
But I want to know, how did you become a life coach? Like, what is the trajectory for you where car salesman, now life coach to other entrepreneurs?
Interesting question. So I got to attribute that to Uncle Duffy. So a friend of ours.
Shout out to Uncle Duffy.
Shout out to Uncle Duffy. I love this guy, Roger Lane. Very instrumental in my life. A friend of mine, one of my closest, dearest friends, Todd and McCall, it's their uncle. And he's been a life coach for many years. He's still our coach to this day, who we go back and reference. And my wife and I were we were considering moving to San Diego. And we did a course called Landmark in San Diego. And it's like an intensive weekend. And then we did the advanced course and things like that. And then my friend McCall was on the journey to become a life coach because Uncle Duffy had recommended it. So we took his tutelage and we just kind of went down the road with it. And later on, he said, "Hey, you could do this. You should try this. I think it's something."
How old are you?
We're moving to San Diego, so I'm 27.
Oh,
You're
wow.
younger. Okay.
28.
Okay. I thought you'd be older.
Yeah, no, 27, 28. Oh no, wait a minute. Let's push forward because my kids are 20. So I'm 29, about to be 30. My daughter's 1, almost 2 at the time. My son is about to be born. We're about to go to San Diego. So yeah, it's actually 29, 30, 31,
Okay.
right in that area.
Okay.
Didn't really take it too seriously. And I was like, you know what are we going to do in San Diego? And I actually, when I said, hey, I could help you coach around this, around this dealership. And so there was a classic car dealership in Cardiff, and we knew the person, and I said, hey, well, I'm happy to coach. And that was like my first coaching client. And that was, wow, that's crazy. That was over 20 years ago. And I've been doing it ever since. And then what happened during COVID, I kind of put it on the back burner. And what happened during COVID, I think I just dusted off some old books that Duffy gave me, and I started reading them again. And I was like, wait a minute, this is something I really want to do. So I took a refresher course, and I went through through a course again, and got certified and all the things. And I realized, like, you know what, this is where I could really help a lot of people. And that's where I feel most comfortable, is in being of service to others. You know, I think that's why I'm a State Farm agent as well. One of the things that I love to do is be of service. You know, so we have a beautiful office right up the street where we help, you know, thousands of people in the valley protect their most valuable things, their life, their home, and their auto. And so being of service is kind of just within me, and I think that's where the coaching comes out of as well. So
Absolutely.
Somebody hears that though, and they're like, okay, well, I don't necessarily love to serve. I like to think of myself and, you know, watch my TV and work out on my schedule. Like, when you say be of service, like, what do you mean? Like, I mean, because does that just mean adding value where you can? I mean, do you like your downtime as much as anyone, or are you just like, even at home, are you just doing the dishes and serving? Do you have selfish Johnny? And
yeah, of course. Listen. We all have a selfish side to us.
Trying to make myself feel better.
There are personal
I know. I'm like,
things that I love to do. Yeah, I'm like, wait a minute.
You are, you know.
Are you doing dishes at home, Joe?
I soak them. I put this Dawn, and then I fill the water, and that's, yeah, I'm a counters guy.
I'm not going to sit here and BS you. I haven't done the dishes in quite some time, so thank you to whoever does them.
Magic. Yeah, that's a magic.
Yeah. But no, it's I would say being of service is being of value, adding value wherever I can. You know, I like to add value to any situation, whether it be business or personal, coaching basketball or coaching, you know, just being engaged, right, in a certain situation. I like to say, if I'm not being used, I'm useless, right? So utilize my skills, utilize my knowledge, utilize my people that I know, because it makes me feel good.
Well, I felt that, like I said, like enough to where you're working out and I can ask you a quick question and you're not bugged or put out. There's some people where you don't want to bother them in the gym, right? You don't want to interrupt their workflow, but no, I appreciate you being open. And I think that's a good example for people to just say, like, where and how can I add value to everyone?
That's the key. I think in today's world, in my opinion, I don't think there's enough value being added in the different things that we get nowadays, right? It's a pretty quick, hey, done, and let's be done. Let's get it done as fast as possible. And I'm not, if you want it done as fast as possible, I might not be your guy. All right. I'm more of like, hey, what is it going to take to get the job done correctly? And how is it going to, once we get it done correctly, how is it going to last? Right. That's the main purpose, at least for me.
Yeah. Since I've become partners with Joe, I really feel like if you can figure out sales, there's just a special key to life in that. His son recently, what was he?
Pest control.
Yeah, was selling pest control in Utah, and I've seen him blossom just personality-wise. I know that you've done quite a bit of sales. What is the connection between, you know, sales and unlocking success?
That's a good question.
That's a great question. From my understanding, salesmen are the richest people in the world. They make the most money. And I just kind of naturally fell into it. I don't really know if I was groomed or anything like that to be a salesman. I started selling shoes at Kids Foot Locker when I was a kid. Became the first, literally the number one part-time salesman in the country for selling shoes.
Oh my
That's
God.
so funny. Davey Ratchford, who we had on the show, he took Snow Basin Ski Resort and made it the number one ski resort. And that's where they had the Olympics, and they're going to have them again. In Utah, he started out selling shoes.
This is what Remy's doing. I'll tell you that much.
Keep going.
It was crazy. And I wouldn't let anybody leave without a new pair of socks. So it's like, you're getting new shoes, you got to get new socks. It just made sense. Right?
You want to feel good. You don't want to put dirty socks.
Why would you put dirty socks in these brand new shoes?
And you would get them to take.
Well, then I would pull on the heartstrings a little bit, because here when I'm selling kids shoes, Joe, do you really want to put your kids' dirty socks in these brand new shoes?
When you say it like that, I don't. When you say it like that,
you got to get the socks.
Yeah, I will. Yeah,
of course.
Yeah.
What kind of father are you?
You went deep.
I go deep. Right?
Learn the psychology
I was
of sales.
16 years old. I was saying these things, right? And then I'd pull out the tracksuit from behind my back. Hey, you got to have the tracksuit too. But no, it was really just making sense, right? Like, hey, guys, it's brand new shoes, brand new socks. They go together.
It does, but we're PI lawyers. I'll tell him every day that I just would loathe to do his side of the job because there's so much shame wrapped up in it. Like, are you manipulating people?
Yeah, I was gonna.
I can't do it. Like,
Yeah, no, I was gonna ask that. Like, if you're all about like, every relationship is reciprocal and nothing happens in isolation, how do you make sure it doesn't become transactional and manipulative when you're talking in business settings like this? You're selling them a car. Are you really being honest when you're selling him that car and you're like, oh, you need this and it's going to make you feel
I haven't sold a car in so long. I couldn't tell you that one.
Yeah.
And my motives were considerably different back then.
But now, I guess in business, how do you make sure you don't slide into manipulative, transactional?
Very easy is make sure it's a win-win for both of you. I don't do business unless it's a win-win now. I've learned that a long time ago. And I think I learned that from the car business in all reality, because there was a lot of one-sided deals in the car business, if I'm being honest, right? Like, it is transactional. It's, hey, you need a car. We have the car. You have bad credit. You need credit. We're going to put the two together and you're going to get what you need and we're going to get what we need, a profit, right? And I think as I grew and I evolved and I went into management, I started working with people, I learned that the best way to get what I wanted is to help somebody get what they wanted, right? And so that became a win-win relationship at that point in time. Let me help them win and I win. And I've developed that over the time of like, hey, no, let's really make this a win-win. How do I help you really win? Because if you really win, Joe, guess what? And this podcast is successful and you get 1 million views, well, who's the beneficiary of that? I am too.
Yeah.
So it's like, it's a natural progression. And it's not that I don't want 1 million views or I do want 1 million views. It'd be awesome to have, but I'm not attached to the outcome.
Sure.
What I'm really attached to is being present with you and figuring out the best way to have a great podcast, right? And have a great conversation. So that's my approach to most things in life is like, hey, how do I produce a win-win out of this? I think that's the key in most situations. And I don't think business owners all look that way. They look at it, and I can't say that most business owners here, we're all in it for a profit. Let's be 100% honest. No one starts a business to not make money.
Right.
Right. But there's ways to make money and there's ways to scam people out of making money. I'm in the business of making sure it's a win-win for everybody.
And it's harder in the beginning when you're younger and your back's against the wall and you've got to make it work I think for me, it was easier to cut corners and find the gray. And then you get older and hopefully you evolve into what you're talking about, which is like, okay, I can do this, but I can do this in a better way. I can do this in a less manipulative, less transactional way, right? And that's been fun with Ash and I in this new chapter with these last 2 years with our firm is like, we wanted to focus on personal growth and development. We wanted to be able to talk about books like The Creative Act by Rick Rubin, The 4 Agreements, right? And we just had him read a book, Unreasonable Hospitality, and he incentivized him, like, you read this book and pass a test, we'll give you $200. I think most of the staff did it. But it's just so much more fun and enjoyable to learn and grow together instead of just, okay, I've got these employees, let's exploit them, and we'll have this great, amazing life. We're trying to share that with our staff to the extent that they want to come along with us,
So that's interesting you say that. Are you a mentor to your staff or are you still their boss?
Well, our life coach helped me understand that, some of my frustration and feeling like I wanted to remove myself from the law and the pressure and the stress was an opportunity to work on those things and to like be a leader for them in the way that you would for a young man that you're coaching, right? And so, I feel like I've become more of a mentor lately. I
think we've built our office in a way that lends itself to mentorship rather than authoritarianism. So I hire most of our people. I can only work with people that can work autonomously. I know that about myself, and it's what keeps the machine running in a forward direction, right? Which meant these are the standards by which everybody must adhere to, and making sure that everybody's rowing at the same pace, and that if somebody's not, they're held accountable to it, and if this isn't the place for you because you can't row at our pace, then by all means, good luck to you. And so in that way, everybody holds the same expectation now. And I think it's helped us remove ourselves as bosses. There still has to be a chief to make decisions. There still has to be rules and order, but for the most part, do your thing responsibly, like a grown adult, and I'll be here if you have questions. And so we've kind of ran, we've changed the trajectory of how we run things. So I hope my staff would think I'm more of a mentor than a boss, but not always.
Yeah.
You know?
I think that's it's always interesting when I look at it that way. I'm very collaborative in my ways. So I really like to collaborate with people. I'm not a big fan of telling someone what to do. I have no problem telling somebody what to do, but I really like for them to find out what to do on their own. And so I like to create opportunities for people to step into their power and fail sometimes, right? Like, hey, you missed this or missed this, but the reason you missed it is because of this, right? And for me, I read The Art of Mentorship. I can't remember the person's name. I'll have to get it for you, and it spoke about that. And I started it with my kids because I didn't know how I was going to transition this new relationship that I have with my kids, turning from 17, 18-year-olds to 19, 20-year-olds and becoming young adults, right? And now the authoritarian father needs to change his ways, so to speak, right? And I didn't want to lose that connection with my kids. So I took the advice of one of my good friends who recommended this book, and I read it, and that's what I got out of it, is like becoming more of a mentor to my kids more than just their dad or their parent, so to speak, that knows everything. It was like, hey, how do I mentor this person, this young adult, into a manner of helping them grow? And then once I did that, I was like, wait a minute, why am I not doing this with my employees?
Yeah.
How do I work this into my employees, right? And so now that's the approach I've been taking mostly, is like, how do I develop a relationship with my employees that nurtures them to grow in the max capacity, yet also have boundaries that's set for them to grow, right? Because I'm a big believer in that there's freedom in the structure, right? And if there's a structure in place that allows you to be creative, allow you to think outside the box, and allow you to be yourself, ultimately you'll find success. But if you don't have that structure in place, it's going to be very difficult, because you could fly out and not know where to get bounced back into, right? And so as long as that those boundaries are set and that structure's in place, I think it's a great opportunity to mentor someone and be able to elevate their game as well.
Yeah, because you do autonomy with the structure he's talking about. It's not just, hey, we'll hire you and you're off. You train them, you give them the structure, but then once we wind you up, you need to be able to go, right?
Right.
Yeah.
And I think that's important as a leader, right? I mean, you guys are business owners, you're leaders in the industry, we're leaders in the community. It's like, how do we want to create other leaders in the community? Because ultimately, sorry to let you guys know this, we're just renting, guys. This is all renting. We're just going to give it back. So how do I leave?
Even the guy with the island, right? You're renting that. It's not yours.
It's not yours. I don't care how much stuff you buy, how much you think
Private
you
jet.
own. You're just renting it. You're just here for a period of time, and eventually it's going to go back to someone. My whole thing is like, who can I leave this to? And how many people can I leave with this kind of idea? How do I help the next generation?
Well, that's my thought, is just like, you just want to you don't want to take away all the lessons, right? Like we mentioned, where you have to let people fall, let your kids fail.
Yeah.
You want to be a bulldoze parent, but if you can shorten it, like for me, I look back on my life and I think that had I had better mentors earlier, I could have shaved off some years and gotten there sooner, right, than in my late 30s, I'd say, when I started to really go, okay, like you said, what do I want out of life, and what am I doing here, and what's this really about? Because for decades, it was enough to just chase money and success, and I had kids, and they were great, and it was fine, but, I wish I'd had somebody kind of put some of these books in front of me at a much earlier age.
Yeah, you know what? You get it when you get it. I've been putting these books in front of my kids their whole life. I don't, maybe one's been picked up, but I can trust, and I know that eventually they'll go back and go, oh, there it is. That's what Dad talked about.
Yeah.
It's just a matter of for me, it's a matter of planting the seed and just having it around.
Yeah.
They'll pick it up one day.
Letting them know this is
It's
important.
there. It's available to you when you're ready to
This is
receive
important
it.
to Dad.
That's the idea, right? That the journey, it's more about the journey than anything else. And when we were talking about in the beginning of the podcast, like, I'm so glad that I got the Porsche and I got the house, and that they weren't important to me. And like that appreciation of like, oh, okay.
That's right. I've told Ash
Feels
recently,
so
I'm
good.
like, I'm so happy to know that like I've gotten to 47 in probably just this last year. I've really fundamentally understood that making millions more from this point on is not going to do it for me. Like, that's not what's going to get me out of bed. It doesn't excite me. And, for a while I just felt like I was the crazy one because I'm looking at all these other attorneys and they seem like perfectly content to just keep gunning and going for the bigger verdicts, the bigger settlements, all of the accolades. And Ash and I are kind of just looking at each other like there's got to be more than just more,
More than just more.
So
There's my mentor, one of my closest mentors. He says, we all have the disease of more.
Yeah.
I've had it. You've had it.
I still have it.
And
It's just I got to
I
fight
was just
it.
about to say, I still get it. Right? There's, I'm at that. It's funny you say that because I'm at this little crossroads myself. I get ready to get another car here. My lease is up in May, and I've been driving a Tesla Model 3. Right, small car. And I bought it with the mindset of like, hey, I want to kind of lower everything. I want to lower my payments. I want to lower my ego. I want to bring everything kind of down, to scale it all down. And wow, what an experiment. It's been fun. I love driving that little car and it's awesome. But I don't feel like I'm me in that car.
Interesting.
Right. And so it's not the car. It's definitely me, right? I feel comfortable in the car. I love driving the car. It's awesome. But the next car that I have in mind,
Hummer, spinners.
Yeah, of course.
Lift it.
Is me, and it's what I see myself being in, right? And I think it's important for all of us to have this vision of ourselves and live into that. Because that is manifestation. Like I know I'm going to have this car.
That's interesting.
It's
That's a different perspective. I like that. That's a different perspective on like making peace with. It's not bad to have the Porsche, not bad to have the second home and the stuff, right? That's a different perspective than I normally get when you get to the point in the conversation where it's like, it's okay, just as long as, you're not attached to it and it doesn't define you and make you feel better than other people. But
it feels right to me.
But yeah, like, so what is that? What I got to ask, what's the car that John?
Oh, you'll see it in a few months.
Oh, come on. You can't leave our listeners hanging.
I love it. Something I've been working with my life coach on, it's a phrase that keeps coming up, is to what end? So working as much as I work, to what end? Having whatever it is, the stuff, to what end? And I think like to the point of what you're making is like if you have that thing, is it satisfying some part of you? Does it feel in service? Does it make you feel more expressive in who you are? Don't get me wrong. I love my Porsche and I don't want to, I just don't need another one. But yeah, so I've been really wrestling with this like idea of just like to what end? And for me, it just means a matter of being present. I am that person that's like always trying to achieve, and I, became partners with him, and, you start leveling up and more doors open up to you. And I'm the person that like likes to run through doors, and I was running through so many doors and I'm like, oh, right. But to what end?
Right.
At this point, you're running yourself ragged going through all these doors. So let's be intentional about what we're doing. And I think that might be the bigger thing is, have what you have, but be intentional about it.
1000%. I mean, I hear that one loud and clear. What's interesting to me when you say that is like, I've gone down this, I have a therapist as well. I have a coach, therapist. I've got a whole slew of
So let's stop. So you have a coach, and what do you get from the coach that you don't get from the therapist?
Yeah, it's an interesting question. Coaches just ask you questions. If you have a really good coach, they're going to ask you the questions to provoke the thought on your own, and you come up with your solution. A therapist can actually kind of tell you, hey, this is what you're doing. Might want to look at it this way. So my therapist will really call me out on stuff and be like, is that really what you wanted? Is that the direction you were really
the blind
taking?
spots sooner.
Exactly. And to point out the action and then give me tools and advise tools of how to maybe change that behavior or that action. My coach is really just going to kind of, hey, what is this question?
That's what ours does.
Right. And we pull out the truth. Exactly. We pull and pull and pull. We're constantly asking questions. I don't think your coach, I don't know her, I don't think your coach has probably ever suggested you do anything or told you what to do.
Once you get to your truth after you get through all the fear, then she'll switch into cheerleader mode and say, how you feeling about this? And then you're like, yeah, this feels good, right? So then she kind of, okay, and now you're off.
Sometimes I feel bipolar with her because like we'll have a meeting where I'm like, I just want to be zen and appreciate what I have and live in the moment. And I'll have another meeting with her. I'm like, I want to take over the world and I want to do this, I want to do that. And it's amazing to me, like every single meeting that we have, she's a cheerleader for all of it. and she's just a mirror to, okay, so what you're really saying is this. And last time you said this. How do the two
Correlate, right?
correlate? Yeah.
That's so true. And then I have a mentor, right? I have several mentors, but one of my closest mentors, he allows me to take both from the coach and the therapist. I bounce it off of him and I say, man, what do you think? And it gives me someone who has a little bit more experience than I do in business and in life with children and things like that, that I'm able to go back to and say, oh, okay, great. I make a sound decision now, or make a sound choice, right? Based off the information that I have. I'm a big believer in choices, not decisions.
So you've got a team around you, therapists, life coach, mentors, plural. Anybody else? You're in the gym every day, but you've figured that out. You're on your own. You don't have a trainer.
No, I don't have a trainer. It's interesting. I considering going back into getting a trainer. I'm actually considering, I've been dabbling in jiu-jitsu, so gonna need a trainer for that for sure.
Johnny dabbles.
Yeah, I like to dabble. I like to dabble in things. I got incentivized, let's put it that way, to get into jiu-jitsu by my cousin, and so we've taken on that challenge. It has hurt a little bit, so
Yeah, I can only imagine.
and it shut me down from the gym for about a month, but I'm back.
Oh,
So yeah, but it's learning those things too, right? And so I took this challenge on and thinking, oh yeah, I'm going to be 50. This is great. Well, my body just doesn't react the same way as it used to recovery and things like that. And so I really, this time around, I had to listen to myself and listen to my body. And I used to hear people, oh, listen to your body, listen to your body. And I just pushed through like, oh, forget it. I had no other choice this past month and a half than to shut it down because my shoulder would not work. It just was not working. And so I shut it down. I did the necessary things to get it, rehabilitated. And guess what? I'm back. But I needed the awareness around that. That was a lesson I needed to learn as I go into, 50 and above. Like, hey, this is something now that you have to pay attention to. This is something that you really got to look at because you just don't recover the same way you used to.
Yeah.
There's a variety of different science and medicines that can help me recover faster, but I need to be more diligent. I need to be more precise. I need to be more, I guess, strategic around the things I do. It's not to say I can't do them. It's just like, how much can you do of it, right? And then let's go ahead and take full action at it and then take full recovery action behind it. And then from there, let's progressively get better. And so that's how I'm approaching this jiu-jitsu thing. Not
to what end, right?
It's exactly right. To
I was
what
going
end.
to ask you, you're a high output individual. You live a high output life. And I was going to ask, what is the downside? Clearly in the physical space, it's putting the ego on the shelf and saying, okay, I've got to just rest, right? What are the other downsides though? Like let's say in the business world in terms of just being go, go, go. You have some of the DDs, the ADHD.
I think I'm not diagnosed, but I self-diagnosed. I'd say I'd have a few of the DDs. I like to do a variety of different things. I'm not a person that likes to sit still.
But
I like new actions.
If I can cut you off, the fact that you sit in the car before you come into a podcast, take a minute, say a prayer, read some, something inspirational.
That's how you control the DDs.
Yeah. Well, I'm saying you've clearly learned how to control that and find those moments to get quiet and calm down, and right? I'd
say control is a very tricky word. I don't think there's anything that they always say control what you can control, right? I'm aware of the things that I can work on controlling. I don't think that ultimately I can control it. Try and hold it in a box. I know there's certain things that help me settle my nervous system. I know there's certain things that help me, be present, get present, right? And so I utilize those tools.
Is it all the regular list, the cold plunge, sauna, meditation?
It's a variety of everything. I listen. RPM for me. I'm a rise, pray, and meditate guy. That's what gets my engine going in the morning. First thing in the morning, I hit my knees. I ask God for strength and the ability to have another blessed day on this planet and put someone in my life that I can help today. I ask God for that every day, and then I start to meditate. Meditation has been probably the single most important thing I do now to regulate my system and keep me steady. If there's one thing I'm going to do, and it's got to be meditating. I'm going to pray and meditate. That's something that's got to happen every day.
What's your practice look like?
Really depends on the day, but primarily it's a quick prayer and anywhere between 7 to 15 minutes of meditation. I like to use an app. One of my favorite guys is Roger Gabriel. He's great. He's on the Inner app, on Deepak Chopra's app, so I use that. It gives me some great insights. I like guided meditation. I don't need guided meditation, but I like guided meditation. There's times where I'll do some other stuff. I learned the release factor in meditation from Brendon Burchard and High Performance Habits. So I try and get information from a variety of places, primarily books or podcasts or whatnot, or even Instagram. You'd be surprised, but I try and get bits of information that I could try and utilize in my life and see what works, and then I get rid of the ones that don't. But my morning routine is really precise. It's rise, pray, meditate, get my cup of matcha tea, reflect on the day. I like to journal, plan out what I may or may not want to challenge myself in that day. I write down minimum of 3 things that I'm super grateful for that day, primarily my health, my wife, and my kids. And then from there, I tend to write 10, but I try to get into the feeling of gratitude. I'm a big believer in when you want something, you have to feel that. And if you can generate that feeling early, you'll generally get that later on in the day. And then I like to send out a few text messages to some of my close friends so that I can just maybe put an inspirational word out there. And later on, it's kind of like putting money in the bank, because like I might not get a text right back from them, but maybe at 12 or 1 o'clock, boom, hey, Johnny, thanks for the text. Here's one back. And boom, I get my energy recharged. And so those are some of the basic things I do on a regular basis to keep myself regulated.
Do you mind cracking open that book, The Creative Act? I don't want to mess with the universe and what it has designed for us. So you read to me the page that you opened. You said a prayer to God, and then you opened to page 19.
Yep.
Will you read what it says?
Well, the first thing it said awareness is the title of this chapter here. And I'll just read the first, let's call it 3 paragraphs, and well, it's not too bad, but let's see. It says, in most of our daily activities, we choose the agenda and develop a strategy to achieve the goal at hand. We create the program. Awareness moves differently. The program is happening around us. The world is the world is the doer, and we are the witnesses. We have little or no control over the content. The gift of awareness allows us to notice what's going on around and inside ourselves in the present moment, and to do so without attachment or involvement. We may observe bodily sensations passing through and feelings, sounds, or even visual cues, smells, and taste. So what that says to me there is like present, being present in what you're doing, staying present in the moment. That's what the creative act is. And this is creating something, creating a podcast, creating a new relationship. I've never met you before, so Ash, it's like creating a new friend through the being present.
Yeah.
And being aware of this moment in this situation.
Yeah, I think you have to start with awareness, right? That's where you start with your students that are coming to you to learn.
I call them partners. They're like I said, I'm a collaborative person. So
that's good.
These are my partners in life. They're going to teach. You're going to teach me something. And that was actually one of the first questions you asked me as a student and a teacher. Is like, I'm going to learn something from coaching you. You're going to teach me something for sure about myself, and I'm going to hopefully teach you something different.
Okay, I've got to replace student with partner. Ash, what were you going to say?
As a life coach, you've been doing it for some time now. What do you think keeps people stuck?
Themselves.
In what way?
In a word.
True.
In a word.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think fear is probably the most thing that I see. What holds most people back is the fear and overthinking. Most people believe that they need to have the perfect plan or the perfect scenario or the perfect time to take action, and that's not necessarily true. There's plenty of examples in the world that the person that didn't know anything just took action, decided he was going to go do it, he or she was going to go do it, and they were successful at it. And along the way, they picked up help. They picked up the tools necessary. They picked up the people necessary to make that action keep going, and it snowballed. And so I would say that helping people through that fear and unlocking that fear of action or their lack of action is probably the single most important thing to get around. And then secondarily is, and and I struggle with as well. I got to be honest, is the fear of someone saying something about you, or being judged, right? Like, no one likes to be judged, and so people get afraid of stepping out and being like, "Hey, this is what I do," or "This is how I do it," and then someone rejecting them, right? And what I try and teach myself, or even talk with my partners in this, I say, "Hey, that's none of your business. What someone thinks of you is not your business."
Amen.
It's the honest God truth.
Yeah.
Now, it's hard for you to get your brain around that, right? Especially if you got somebody DMing you, you're a terrible person, or they don't like your post, or whatever it may be. And for you to just sit here and say, "Hey, that's not my business," it's a process. It's a
You're
practice.
entitled to your opinions. Yeah.
You're entitled to your opinion. It's yours.
Yeah.
It's not my business.
Do you work with primarily men?
No,
Life coaching?
No, I work with men, women. I work with entrepreneurs primarily. I like to say entrepreneurs because I have had CEOs of Fortune 500 companies, and I've had,
Really? Wow.
I've had,
High school
CEOs
students
of
and-
startups,
Yeah.
and so I've worked with some great people, and I've worked with some not so great people, and in between, they're all entrepreneurs, right? We're all working towards bettering our lives.
What's the rewarding part for you? Is it seeing the light come on, like the awareness switch on, in the eyes of one of your partners when you're working with them, and just is that what does it for you and keeps you coming back?
Yeah, I think what does it for me is it's not only the sparkle that happens, that light that does come on. It's when they start to implement this stuff in their lives and they start to help others. It's super rewarding. When you start to see
The fire that you started.
right, that it
Yeah.
creates,
Well,
and it starts to spread, and you're like, whoa,
Yeah.
they really took this to heart and they ran with it.
Yeah.
And you're like, wow, that's in a small way, I had impact on that.
Yeah, we had Kate and Leslie Smith on. They're a power couple. They own their own chiropractic clinic. You've probably seen them in the gym, and he introduced me to weights and working out, and helped me with all my fixed mindsets that it's not for me, and I don't lift weights. I don't lift heavy weights, right? And now my kids do it, and their friends are working out, and it's literally because he spent a year mentoring me in the gym and just saying, yeah, this is actually for everyone, right? It's just we've been led to believe that it's for the I don't want to get too big, or the muscle magazines and all this nonsense. He's like, no, everybody needs strength training, right? Especially as you're getting older.
Oh yeah, for sure. My wife got into strength training this past year, this 2025. Super proud of her. I was like,
That's awesome.
she's a yogi. She's yoga instructor. She's a Reiki healer. She's a hairstylist, and she's like, I'm gonna lift weights this year. I was like, what?
Wow.
She's, I'm getting a trainer and the whole deal. I was like, wow. And she went after it, and man, she's just doing awesome.
Feeling good.
Oh, feeling good. She's lifting weight, like real good weight too. I was like, damn girl, you go get it.
Could you imagine operating at the level you operate and you weren't exercising, you weren't taking care of your body? I mean, could you?
Yeah, I can. I've been doing that for the last 45 days.
Traveling to Dubai?
Sounds
too
nice.
much. It sounds nice. It's funny. I literally recently just got back this week, and I told my buddy Justin, I said, man, I felt so good. No pain, no nothing. Like, why am I doing this? But the rewards of working out is the mental clarity. It's for me, I just feel more energized. I eat better when I work out.
Right.
All the other ancillary things that come with working out are the benefits for me. And so can I imagine not doing it? No, I can't imagine not doing some kind of physical exercise. And I think that's why I'm really going down this journey of jiu-jitsu too. I don't know if you guys know a little bit about this, but it's probably more cerebral than it is physical.
I've heard that.
Yeah.
And so it's like, for me, it's like, okay, now I want to really learn how to do this, but I'm for the first time, I'm going to intertwine both, where I'm going to use the brain to master moves, but also use my body to manipulate those moves into fruition. So it's super exciting to be able to do both, because when I played basketball, it was about losing the thought process. It wasn't about thinking. It was like, just play and let it happen naturally. And so this time it's really more strategic, and how do I make this move? And if I take this here, do I get this action here? So I'm super excited to see how that works out moving forward.
That's really cool.
Random question. I'm raising a son. I like to ask as many men as I possibly can, because somehow this topic has become political and kind of taboo, but how do you define masculinity? You're a dad, a husband, entrepreneur. How do you define it?
I define masculinity as the ability to be vulnerable. How vulnerable can you be as a man to really step into your masculinity? I have certain thoughts and beliefs that I won't necessarily share on this particular topic, but I'm a strong believer in that if you can get to the space where you're vulnerable enough to ask for help, you'll be able to step into your power and really be powerful. I think that goes for men and women in all respects. I believe that women could be masculine as well. I don't think that's just left up to the man. But I truly believe like being vulnerable and stepping into your power and asking for help, for me, is what's really changed my life. I did go at this for a long time of like, I'll figure it out on my own. I don't need anyone's help. And I thought that was masculine, right? I thought that was this is what the man is supposed to do. I'm going to handle these things. I'm going to pay the bills, do this, that. I clean the yard. And that's not necessarily what it is. What I learned was like, for me, when I became more vulnerable and I said, hey, I need help in this arena. I don't know what to do here. My power then got unleashed. And well, guess what? I started to do esteemable things. I felt good self-esteem and my masculinity just came out. And so that's where I tap into it. I really believe like that might be the key to it all, is being able to get vulnerable enough. Now it's easy to say, but it's very tough to do. So I would suggest maybe finding that one person that you can get vulnerable with, that one person you really trust and get vulnerable with, to maybe unlock that new potential you might be looking for, or your son might be looking for.
I love it.
And maybe nurturing that with him and saying, hey, it doesn't necessarily have to be with mom or dad. Maybe it's finding a friend or finding a cousin or finding an uncle or even an aunt or somebody that they can express themselves to build their self-worth up.
Great question. As we wind down, let me do some rapid fire, throw some stuff at you. Johnny gets a billboard in Las Vegas, and it can only say one thing. It's got to be a message, not a picture. It's got to say something. What would you say is to just help? Help. We talk to people all the time, and it's kind of become trite to say that hey, world's a scary place and things aren't looking good. What message would Johnny Carmona want to put out there to push against that?
Be yourself. Everyone else is taken. Yeah. There's a lot of people, at least my perspective and my perceptions, people trying to fit in or trying to live up to somebody else's standards or somebody else's beliefs. And I believe if we just focus on you, focus on yourself and being the best version of yourself and believing in things that you believe in, and really being respectful of other people's perspective, just be you. You don't have to be part of XYZ community or part of ABC community. You could be part of that and still be different. You could still be a part of a community. You don't have to be the thing that is the community.
Yeah, it doesn't have to be your identity.
It doesn't have to be your identity, right? And so I would say that would probably be it. Be yourself. Everyone else is taken out there. Learn about yourself as best as you can, because that's what's really going to help you unlock the happiness that's within you.
I'm glad I asked. That's a beautiful message. And I think that when you do that, you tap into the law of attraction, because nothing's more beautiful than an authentic person, right? I mean, that's what attracted me to Ash, where I look at her from afar and go, man, like she doesn't seem to carry a lot of the same sort of, you've got to be this way or act this way or live this way. She just seemed very much like, yeah, I'll do it if I want, and if I don't, I won't. I'm like, but don't you have to ask for permission, and don't you have to feel guilt and shame for, And she's like, you need to get back to therapy, right? So, as a beautiful message, I really am glad that you shared that. Is there anything else that you might add on the topic of awareness? If somebody just happened to drop into this podcast and picked up on this theme of awareness, what's something that you might say in, again, short form to help people understand how they can begin to harvest or create greater awareness and change their life for good?
Harbor and create awareness. I would suggest reading more. That would be probably the single most important thing for anyone. I would say pick up books that you might not necessarily think you'd like. Right?
Let's hear it. Let's hear your books. Let's hear.
I mean,
you
here I
recommend.
start with the Four Agreements. I'd start there with the Four Agreements by Mr. Ruiz, and then
what
I
are
would
the
go,
Four Agreements? Don't take anything personal. I just did a weekly our newsletter on.
always
this.
do your
I've
best.
seen.
Be impeccable with your word.
I don't forget the Four.
Oh man, okay. Now you're gonna catch me. Be impeccable with your word. Always do your best. Make no assumptions. And then you said it.
Make no assumptions. Yeah, don't take anything.
Don't take
personal,
anything
which is the one I'm always working.
And the making no assumptions is
Yes.
key in life.
Oh,
It's key in life because I mean,
and awful at it.
because I could assume this thing was gonna go a totally different way. And I did actually. I didn't know that we were going to go down the journey and talk about my wife and this. And I thought it was going to go. I assumed it was going somewhere totally different. But I didn't realize that. Okay, let me let that go because I was open to having a different experience. But that's a big one for people, man. We people, humans, tend to assume things are going to work out a certain way when we really don't know. Right? We're assuming that person is the way they are when we really don't know until you start to get to know them.
And then being disappointed, that was for me with working with my life coach. Stop having assumptions because all it does is disappoint you. And then you resent the person for no reason. It's all made up what you're resenting them for. Yeah.
Expectations are the cousin of resentment.
Mm.
When you expect something there, you might get a resentment.
Yeah.
Be careful.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then I love Brendon Burchard's book, High Performance Habits. I would highly highly recommend it to any business owner, anybody that's out there that looking to level up their game, whether you're, in sports or in business or in life, you want to level up your game. High Performance Habits by Brendon Burchard. Great book. Principles, Ray Dalio, amazing book. Great for money, great for life
Hard to
lessons.
get through though. It's thick.
It's a thick one. It's a tough one. You might have to put it down a couple times and revisit it. Inner Excellence is a new one that I just read. It's an amazing book. And I'm just started Let Them by Mel Robbins.
So good.
Yeah, we had somebody in
It
our
just starts
tattoo.
that. So
Let them.
It says let them?
Yeah.
Oh, you got to hold that up for the camera to see. Wow. I can't top that. Tattooed on
committed.
your skin.
and this is the last one here. So The Creative Act, Rick Rubin.
Which
I'm not being paid for this, by the way.
But I love that book. I have that book, and it's one of those books. It's like scripture. You could pick it up and read it and just come away feeling inspired. And it's not just about creativity; it's how to live, right?
That's what I think. I mean, we're all artists in one way, shape, or form.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just over here curating my life to the best way I want it.
Yeah. Well, thank you for coming on and sharing your wisdom with us, sharing just things to hopefully inspire and make people feel like, okay, they're talking about things that resonate and that maybe they felt from time to time. And I agree. Reading these books is going to create that awareness. It'll help you to start to think about the world differently, how you interact with people differently. And these people have taken the time to distill all their wisdom into one book, and we wrote, let's spend $20 on that, but we'll go buy coffee and a pastry, right?
Right.
And so I love the rule that Ryan Holiday has, where it's just like anytime someone recommends a book, he's like, I just buy it. He's like, and knowing that that's a good investment, whether I pick it up or give it to somebody or it just goes on my shelf and makes me feel like I'm a reader, right? He's like, that is an investment and a trade I'll make every time. And he's just like, so. For anyone listening, those books, again, though, just rattle them off.
Four Agreements. Brendon Burchard's High Performance Habits, Inner Excellence, The Creative Way, or The Creative Act, Way of Living. So Rick Rubin there.
Okay.
So, thank you guys for having me. I really appreciate it. Thanks for allowing me to be present in your podcast and share some of my wisdom. I really appreciate it. The light in me sees the light in each and every one of you. So I appreciate you guys.
Oh man,
I stole that from my boy Dre. That's my guy Dre. I try to take a little bit from everyone, right? Like you gotta, the things, the people that really I connect with are the ones that help me provoke some thought and provoke some challenge within me. So I try to hold on to those and then share those with others.
Awesome. Well, Ash gets the last question, even though you tried.
Oh, yeah, I do. So we're attorneys on accident. We feel like we kind of stumbled our way into podcasting, partnership, all of it. Did you become who you were on accident?
Hmm. I think so. No.
Hmm?
I was gonna say I think so, but no. For me, nothing's really been by accident. It has been. I have thought about my life and how I've wanted to create it. Um, it is by design, but I would say it's by design with a lot of different crayons.
There we go. I love that. That might be the best answer
might be
we've gotten.
A creative answer, because you've read the Creative Act,
Yeah.
so it's
I
a
love
creative
it.
answer.
Definitely so.
Awesome. Well, let's end there, and let's have you back when you've conquered the jewelry business in Dubai or whatever other crazy adventure you've
There's
got.
no conquering. We're just gonna set out. We're gonna set sail into the ocean, and we're gonna let the wind see where it takes us.
Okay, we'll
we
come
go.
back.
Welcome
Happy
us
next
there. I like
adventure.
it.
All right. Thanks so much,
Thank you.
Johnny.
Thank you guys for having me.